Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Since Sightings went online, your response has been staggering, and no story has generated more email than our series of reports on the Heartland Ghost. We heard from skeptics, believers, and many viewers who had good ideas about how to broaden our investigation. So good, in fact, that we decided to put them into action when we returned to the house with world-renowned parapsychologist Carrie Gaynor. For the Midwestern family who lives here, the last 2 years have been a paranormal nightmare. They've asked us not to reveal their true names, so we're using the pseudonyms Pam, Jeff, and their young son, Donnie. When Sightings first came to document the phenomena here, we were stunned to see long, bleeding welts forming on Jeff's body. He believed it was the work of a child ghost the family calls Sallie.
I personally want it to stop.
We contacted parapsychologist Carrie Gaynor, whose groundbreaking investigations of the entity and poltergeist cases have made him an undisputed authority in the field.
This is the beginning of the research, and a lot more needs to be done in order for me to really feel comfortable that this is a legitimate case.
So, Sightings returned to the house on 2 subsequent occasions, and each time the pattern of bloody welts appeared on Jeff.
The number one question that friends and relatives that do know of our situation ask, and I'm sure probably every one of your television viewers ask, is why do you stay here? Why don't you just get out? You know, what holds you there? Curiosity. There needs to be more data so that we can know what exactly this is, what causes it. Why do these things happen to certain people, certain places, certain times?
Based on our initial findings, Carrie Gaynor joined the Sightings investigative team on our most recent trip to the Midwest.
Tell me about your fear level in the beginning and how you feel now.
After viewing hours of videotape shot in the field, Carrie Gaynor sat with Pam and Jeff to develop a detailed profile of the ghostly activity. We also put in place an arsenal of electronics, oscilloscopes, frequency counters, and surveillance cameras that would monitor the house continuously. Much of our equipment was concentrated in the nursery, where earlier photographic anomalies had been recorded. Another camera position was at the top of the stairs, where, on a previous visit, psychic Peter James had encountered what he felt was a frightening entity.
I'm getting a lot of resistance right here at the door, meaning whatever is in the room wants me out.
2 cameras were placed in the living room area, where many people had experienced strange events.
Our pictures on the wall are turned upside down. The vacuum will turn off when we're vacuuming. The TV will come back on after we've turned it off. The stereo will come back on after we've turned it off. My son's musical toys will play for no reason.
We were now set to monitor any anomalous activity that might occur inside the house. We turned the family kitchen into a control center. Audio transmitters were placed around the house and separate video recorders assigned to each camera. We also set up a handheld thermal imaging system. Any unusual cold spots would turn the normally red tones of human flesh to blue. During this setup, producer Craig Armstrong had his own encounter.
There it went right again, right over here. But I get like a cool right here, right here. It's really weird.
Perhaps it was a premonition of things to come, or a result of what Peter James had felt during his psychic investigation when he sensed death and despair.
I do feel, as we speak, that over the years that at least 3 people died in this house.
Our review of town records confirmed Peter James's psychic impressions. 3 people did, in fact, die in the house. One in 1872, another in 1900, the last in 1918. We unearthed their death records on the eve of our all-night vigil. Carrie Gaynor asked that his investigation continue by low-level lamplight.
All right, why don't you make a request, anything that comes to your mind.
Sallie, could you do this for me, please? I'd like for you to show them that you're really here.
No one in the room heard a response, but our videotape recorded a chilling sound. We've asked 2 independent experts to analyze the sound and determine its possible origin. We'll bring you the complete report on their findings later in this program.
Talk about not having much longer. Understand
During the
situation
time that the
better.
strange sound was being recorded, only one of 2 oil lamps began to flicker. Although the wick was trimmed, the windows were closed, and the air was still. Then, a few minutes later, Jeff felt a bizarre chill in front of him.
Yeah, we've got a new scratch. Yeah, we got fresh blood here. This wasn't here 2 minutes ago.
It was just one of many scratches that appeared periodically throughout a night of bizarre events. When Pam walked in a specific area at the top of the stairs where many had felt a menacing presence, our frequency counter suddenly and inexplicably jumped from 399 to 575 megahertz. Earlier in the day, in the same area, one of our surveillance cameras picked up large amounts of interference, seen here in slow motion. But this camera was on a closed circuit, and it would be impossible for it to pick up electrical interference. And in the nursery, video signals seemed to drift and then disappear entirely, although there was no break in electrical power or the video cable. After a few moments, the signal returned to normal. The next morning, a sense of calm returned to the house. But for paranormal investigator Carrie Gaynor, it had been an unforgettable night filled with unexplained events.
Yesterday and last evening, I spent about 14 straight hours here investigating this case. During that time, Jeff was attacked 11 separate times. There were 11 separate instances of scratch marks on his body. Some of the scratches were very thin, and some were very thick, welt-like scratches that were really quite frightening. Now, I was sitting here, he was sitting here, he was within a foot or two of me, and I had him under my supervision at all times. If he got up and walked away, when he came back, I asked him to take off his shirt so that I could examine what marks were there to make sure there was no trickery involved. During the last 20 years, I've investigated about 850 cases, and during that time, I have never come across anything like this. I think we've got something very interesting and very exciting here, and really potentially dangerous.
Coming up, is this the sound of a dangerous entity communicating?
I've never heard anything quite like it.
Our startling discovery is analyzed next.
Time magazine calls Proof of Life Casablanca with firepower. One of the year's 10 best.
Are you in love with this woman?
Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe sizzle on screen. Proof of Life, rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
Did you know harsh winter weather can leave even unexposed skin itchy and dry? Did you know moisturizers aren't always up to the challenge of itchy, dry skin? That's why there's Cortisone 10 Plus. Among these, only Cortisone 10 Plus has 10 moisturizers like aloe and vitamins, plus the power of Cortisone 10 to stop itch and help heal. So for itchy patches of dry skin, even eczema or psoriasis, try Cortisone 10 Plus.
Every battery says they're better. One thing's for sure. With Rayovac, you get long-lasting alkaline power for less money. If you don't think they're just as good, you get your money back. You heard it here first.
I have to get up to go to work every morning, and my roommates don't even know what morning looks like. They're in awe because I have a job that doesn't involve asking with or without fries.
Hello, boys.
And I put on a clean shirt every day. It's not like I want to spend all my time on laundry, but I need clean clothes.
Introducing new Tide Rapid Action Tabs. Just drop them in. They go to work super fast, so everything gets super clean.
These guys will get their act together eventually. Until then, I'll just pretend I don't know them in public.
Sightings is designated
Paranormal.
This is Sci-Fi.
Do you like to draw, or paint, or maybe just sketch and doodle? Well, if you do, chances are you have the interest needed to become a serious art student. To find out, simply call toll-free, and Art Instruction Schools will send you this enjoyable art test. There's no cost or obligation. Take the test at home in your spare time and mail it to us when you're done. Our experts will review and grade your test. Call our toll-free number today for your free art test. Don't let the wonderful world of art pass you by. To get your free art test without cost or obligation, call this toll-free number. Don't delay. Call this toll-free number now. Call 1-800-641-7575. That's 1-800-641-7575.
What you are about to see is extremely graphic. The footage will shock you.
I cannot say that it is a member of the human race.
The evidence will amaze you.
Thousands of witnesses, several videotapes.
And the testimony will convince you.
The government has covered up things.
Alien autopsy, fact or fiction.
We've learned that aliens are visiting the Earth.
And UFOs, the best evidence ever.
That's not an aircraft.
Tonight, beginning at 9 p.m. on Sci-Fi.
I'm Sci-Fi Santa. I'm Sci-Fi Santa. I've got presents for you. All Christmas weekend, nothing better to do. Rocket ships, wizards, laser guns, abductions, atomic bombs, robots, Godzilla, destruction. All your holiday favorites and sci-fi's greatest hits. It's the Sci-Fi Santa Bomb 2000 on Sci-Fi.
During our most recent investigation into the Heartland ghost, we heard this.
I'd like for you to show them that you're really here.
That anomalous low-level noise wasn't heard in the field by producer Craig Armstrong or any other member of our crew. But back in our sightings offices, in the midst of an edit session, Armstrong and editor Mark Quinn Anderson heard the ghostly sounds that seemed to come in response to Jeff's plea. We immediately took copies of the suspect tape to two diverse audio experts. Rick Wilson, president of Digisonics, is a forensic audio specialist who works routinely with the CIA and FBI and has also analyzed black box recordings for the FAA.
We looked for a lot of the characteristics that would immediately identify it as a definitely mechanical sound, as a definitely electronic sound, and those were ruled out. See, one thing that makes this sound interesting and eliminates a lot of possibilities right off the bat is that above about 500 hertz, there's nothing there. There's nothing in this sound. There's a lot of background noise, but that's constant before and after the sound. But when this sound comes in, it's all low frequency and that's it. And we cannot, in our own bodies, make that sound.
If the sound is not natural, could it be supernatural? For an answer, we turn to electronic voice phenomena authority Sarah Estep.
I've been taping for 18 years, and I've investigated a number of haunted homes, houses, properties, locations, and I've never heard anything quite like it. It sounds more like an energy sound, perhaps put out by the other side. It's interesting that it came right after Jeff asked Sallie to please let them know that she was here. And then this low rumbling sound started and built up in volume, an energy sound that perhaps they produced at his request. Very, very interesting.
Is it a ghost? I really have absolutely no way of knowing. I really don't. My best bet is that it's something magnetic. And how that magnetism was introduced is anybody's guess.
I'd like for you to show them that you're really here.
Many people have asked, why doesn't the family simply move out? And in fact, they will be moving as soon as possible. Sightings will continue to keep in touch with the family to see if the haunting activity follows them or if it remains in the house.